Well, hello there, Brian King here speaking. One thing that I'm sure is familiar to you, you might have even uttered it at some point, and I hear it a lot with a lot of the parents that I work with over the years. And some of it is beginning with the statement, "Now I don't want my child labeled. I know my child has some difficulties. We all have difficulties, but I don't want my child labeled." Is that something that you've heard? Hey there, Jackie. Is that something that you've said? Now let's talk about what the problem is with that. One thing I've discovered is if your kid is having struggles, difficulties, is socially awkward, and doesn't have any kind of label as a point of contextualizing why your child is struggling, doesn't matter if you don't want your kid labeled, other people will do the labeling for you. They will call this kid weird. They will call this kid geek. They will call him lazy. They will call him unmotivated. They will call him dumb. All kinds of labels, even though you don't want your child labeled. Now let me ask you this question, if this is a challenge for you, is what is the problem being caused for you or your child by the presence of the label? Well, I'll be honest, there is that possibility that your child will be thought in terms of the box. That your child is this challenge or this disorder or this disability and can therefore not grow outside of that box. So yeah, I hear you. That is a challenge, especially in the school system where they think, well, this child has Asperger's, therefore he or she cannot ever do this. And that's a problem with very limited black and white thinking. However, let me tell you one of the bonuses of a label. Well, let me ask you this question first. Have you ever gone someplace you've never been before and not taken a map with you? Maybe yes. Maybe you like to explore. Maybe you like the journey. But if it's someplace where it's dangerous to not have a map, would you go without a map? Only if you are overconfident or you like risks or you're an alpha person who likes the adrenaline rush. But me personally, with almost zero sense of direction, I would not go without a map. So let me tell you what this has to do with a label, a diagnosis, whatever you want to call it. Think of all the different characteristics, okay? Let's say we're talking about ADD or ADHD. You've got hyperactivity up here. You've got impulsivity here. You have got focus here. What are you looking at? Consider these coordinates on a map. And let's say you connect all of these coordinates. Now what do you have? You have a point of intersection right in the middle. And what does that point of intersection tell you? It tells you where to begin, where to focus. Where is the point at which they all intersect? Okay? Let's say you do that with dyslexia or Asperger's. Having those coordinates, knowing what they are, where they are, and how they all relate to each other, gives you a laser-focused point on which you can begin to work with this individual in order to help them reach their maximum potential. That is the best reason to get a label. Otherwise, you could spend the rest of your life fumbling, tripping, making unnecessary mistakes because you're guessing. You're guessing at what could potentially work to help yourself or help your child. So whatever this fear is that you have as to why the label shouldn't be placed, I want to encourage you to look deeply at that fear and be honest with yourself that a lot of what this fear is rooted in is ego. That I don't want my child to be thought of as less than. Honestly, no offense to you, but you need to get past that first. The belief that your child will be less than with a label. When you can get past that, then you can help everybody else get past it too. Because a label does not make you less than. A label is simply just a unique way of classifying a certain set of characteristics that you have. It doesn't have to be a measure of superiority or inferiority. It is simply a series of coordinates on a map that you can draw lines in between so you find the point at which they intersect, and that's where you begin the work. That's how I've made it work with my own challenges, whether they're physical or whether they are learning challenges. I have dyslexia, ADHD, I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. The more I learned about what those different terms meant in terms of how they showed up in my life, the more I could deal with them. The more, man, I just closed the gap, as opposed to, well, there are all these things happening with me that seem completely unrelated. Maybe I'll just treat them individually instead of treat them as something that are working together. You take one point at a time, and you don't see the intersection, you'll be wandering around the forest forever, and lucky if you get found. But once you can find that point where they all come together, now you see things are being related. Now you can take actions that will impact every coordinate on the map. Instead of just putting out one little fire, now you can just pour water all throughout the forest, impact all the points, and create results faster. So that is one of the greatest benefits of having some kind of a label, term, title, whatever you want to call it. Call it whatever you want. The important thing is that if there's one available to you, it can be a tremendous asset instead of an opportunity to think less of your child. So take that for what it's worth, just my 2 cents on the matter. Thank you, all you wonderful folks, for chiming in on this evening on a weekend. I don't usually do these, but this was at this time of the night or during the weekend, but this was just kind of burning in my mind and I wanted to get it out to you. So use it as you will. Please continue with the comments. Let me know if this has been helpful for you. And if there are others you think can benefit from this, share away. They'll thank you for it. This has been Brian, and we'll talk again soon.